Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. As you know, I'm coming to you raw and uncut. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. All right, Raw. I don't understand why they keep trying to push Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed down our throat as the future of WWE. I mean, it is. I don't think that it's going to happen. I, I'm not sure why they have this going this way and stuff. I mean, we get started as far as Adam Pearce coming out and he's going to say something, and then Paul Heyman comes out, with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Um, they head to the ring, and Adam Pearce, starts to tell him, because of the two of them, you know, um, Seth is not there, and and everything. So now they have to get a new champion, and because they have to get a new champion, they have to do it during the battle royal. And then he was telling them that they need to hand over the belt and stuff because they were stripping Seth Rollins because he can't perform because of, the shoulder injury that he did at Crown Jewel. And I don't understand why Seth Rollins would have ever done that move. Jumping from ring post to ring post. That's just not. He should have looked at um Vince McMahon's son when he did it and stuff. Because when Shane did it, Shane he hurt himself too and stuff. Now Seth hurt his shoulder, so now he's out with a shoulder injury. So that kind of like stopped a lot of things that are going to be going on as far as, WWE and with that title and, with the vision. But in that, as said, I mean, as Adam is asking for the belt back, Braun Breaker is, asking them to say it nicely and then, with some respect, tell them to respect him and everything. And he said respectfully, hand over the belt. And then Braun Breaker tells him, to say please. So, Adam Pearce says, hey, respectfully, you know, please hand over the belt. So he doesn't hand over the belt, to Adam Pearce. He gives it to Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman is the one, to hand the belt to Adam Pearce, and then Adam Pearce leaves the ring. And then And then Paul Heyman goes on to say about the future and, as far as Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed and saying that Bronson Reed, he beat, the tribal chief and everything and stuff like that. But that's just because he beat, the tribal chief doesn't mean that, he's the future. And it doesn't mean Braun Breaker is the future either because if Braun Breaker was, why is Braun Breaker not making, the interview? Now, why is he not talking? Paul Heyman is the one doing all the talking and everything, and it's not making any sense because, him being, Paul saying that, you know, actually in his mind, he's the one that set up everything, and stuff as far as, betraying, CM Punk and Roman Reigns, that he's seen this future between, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed and all this other stuff. So when did this all come up? Because we never heard of that before and stuff, So now it's coming up and everything like that, saying that Braun Breaker is going to be the WrestleMania main event, for next WrestleMania and beyond. Yeah, I'm not seeing none of that. Saying that the vision is the future, you know, and everything. So at the end of that segment, that's done. Who cares and stuff? Because I really don't, because I don't see neither one of them being the future because there's so many other talented, wrestlers, there that can actually, do the job. Even down in doggone NXT. I mean, you do have Trick Williams. Don't forget Carmelo Hayes is still there and stuff. I mean, bring up some of them guys over Femio, whatever the case may be. And I know other people have there's certain reasons why they don't like this person or that person or anything like that. But bring up people that you know that you can push and everything. I mean, you got all these old guys and everything. A lot of them be retired by the end of next year. I mean, how long can they go? Everybody up is in their late 40s and stuff. So bring up some of the talent from NXT, you know, and let them shine. But that's a Triple H thing, so that's a whole nother different story. Then we got the Judgment Day, you know, um, Finn Balor and JD McDonough is talking about their title shot, their title defense that they have to do against AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. They're kind of feeling some kind of way because Dom is the one to put them in that situation and stuff. And we have the match. We got AJ Styles and Dragon Lee and Finn Balor and JD McDonough. I mean, this match was actually the best match of the night. It was really, really good. Dragon Lee, did his thing. JJ Styles did his thing. Even Finn Balor and JD McDonough, they did their thing. I mean, it was going, back and forth. You know, um, and it, it was good. And then we get AJ Styles with the Styles clash over Finn Balor and everything, and we have new champions. We have new tag team champions. AJ Lee, I'm not AJ Lee. I'm sorry, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. You see how you get to mess that up and everything. Like I said, raw and uncut. But anyway, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee are your new tag team champions and stuff. And then you get a little something with Jimmy Uso and Jay, and they're talking about the battle royal and talking about Roman Reigns and stuff like that. I don't understand why they even think about Roman Reigns because they need to start doing things on their own, which is basically what Jimmy is telling Jay. And Jimmy told him that, hey, look, when we're in this battle royal, if I had to take you out, I'm gonna take you out. Take anybody else out too. He's basically telling Jay, hey, look, you gotta stand up for yourself. And then we have Dominic Mysterio going up against Rusev, which was, a pretty good match, even though we've seen it before and everything. And it's wild that, Dom was defending the title only 8 times in 182 days. That's crazy. But Dom at this time, he wastes no time diving on Rusev, um, and everything. And then as the match goes on, which was a pretty okay match, at some point Dom tries to leave the ring, and then Penta comes and he stops him, and then Rusev fires on Penta, when he's out sitting outside the ring and stuff, and Rusev comes into the ring. Dom tries to stop him. He gets that hammer again and everything. And Rusev catches him through the 619 and stuff, you know. And then Rusev catches the hammer. He tries to get the hammer, use the hammer, and then the referee tries to take the hammer, actually takes the hammer from Rusev. And as he's taking the hammer and putting it back outside the ring, Don kicks Rusev between the legs, and then hits him with the 619 after that. And then Frog splashes him and wins the match. And then after the match is over with, Dom wins and everything. Then Penta hits Rusev with a DDT. And then we get the match with Maxine Dupree and Becky Lynch. Now, I don't understand this match. I mean, Maxine Dupree, I guess she's trying to do everything she can to prove that, she can be in the ring and, have big matches and stuff like that. But with some of the botches that they've had in the match and everything, I just don't understand. I mean, we all know Becky Lynch. She's top tier. And I don't understand why she's not vying for a world title. I mean, I guess she's trying to make the women's intercontinental title shine and stuff. But Maxine Dupree did the best that she could, you know, and stuff. And I mean, Becky, tries to leave the ring, and then Maxine Dupree, because Becky grabs the belt and she tries to leave, and Maxine Dupree cuts her off and everything, and so they get back into the ring, and then Becky takes the belt and she hits Maxine in the back of the head and gets disqualified and stuff and everything, and that's how that match ends. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, why would Becky Lynch get I mean, she could take Maxine Dupree, even though Maxine looked like she took her to the distance. Becky should have won this with a pin and not a DQ. You know, and if you agree with me, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, leave a comment, let me know how you're feeling and stuff. Then we have the Kabuki Warriors, and I swear I don't understand what they're talking about, but I know they were at the end there. I mean, I guess they're trying to bid for a women's tag team title shot, against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So we'll see where that goes and stuff. And then we got Paul Heyman out there, inside Adam Pearce's locker room and stuff, or as they say, the office or whatever. And then he's asking, Paul Heyman is asking Adam Pearce, why the Bronson Reed and Brock Breaker on in Battle Royal. And I guess, we already know why and stuff. And then he's asking Paul, you know, um, Paul is asking Adam Pearce, you know, can you put him in the ring? Put him in the match. And then Adam Pearce says, say please. And then Paul says, please, can you put him in, into the Battle Royal? And then Adam Pearce tells him no, he's not gonna have it. He's not gonna do it. And then Becky Lynch, shows up, and then her and Paul get in it and everything. And Becky is, saying how much she doesn't like Paul and stuff like that. And when Seth Rollins comes back and everything, Seth Rollins is gonna get even with Paul and stuff. And then we have the Stephenie Vaquer and the Roxanne Perez match. I mean, the match is okay. I mean, I really didn't too much care for it because we already knew that Stephenie Vaquer was not going to lose this match and stuff. Roxanne, she's a little Hellcat and everything, and hopefully she gets a lot better and gets more chances, at title shots and everything. And I'm sure that she will. She's still, young in the ring and stuff. And then in this match, after the match is over, Stephanie wins and Raquel Rodriguez attacks Stephanie, and then they both jump on Stephanie, and then out comes Nikki Bella. She comes out for the save, and Nikki gets kicked in the face by Raquel, and then Stephanie tries to come back in to fight back, and then they do get the upper hand, you know, um, and stuff. So Stephanie hits Raquel with a DDT, and then they double drop kick her out of the ring, and they send Roxanne and Raquel, out of the ring, grabbing on their wounds and stuff. And then Nikki and Stephanie, they stand strong, and Stephanie is still the women's champion and stuff. And then we get the battle royal. The battle royal was okay. I mean, it was a 20-man battle royal. I mean, some of the players that were in the battle royal and stuff were like all mid carders and stuff, all jobbers and stuff like that. There was really nobody in there worth that you would think that would win except for maybe AJ Lee, maybe LA Knight, you have both Jimmy and Jay Uso in there and stuff, and then you're thinking like who would be, the last four in the ring and stuff. And I mean, Dominic Mysterio, he did a little crazy thing. He was actually eliminated by AJ Styles, and then he got back into the ring because the referees didn't see him get eliminated and stuff like that. But then towards the end, you got AJ Styles and Jimmy all tangled up, in the ropes and stuff like that. And then Jay eliminates both of them. And then Dom is trying to, lurk and sneak attack Jay, and then Jay ends up eliminating Dom, and Jay wins, the battle royal to face CM Punk at Saturday Night Main Event and stuff. And that is how the show ends, with CM Punk and Jay Uso head to head, looking at each other and stuff. This show, Raw, I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't great. I'm gonna give it maybe a C minus and stuff. But for that and everything, thank you for watching. God bless, deuces, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you, thank you, thank you.